What if the dragons we imagine today, winged, fire-breathing beasts, aren't just fantasy, but echoes of something ancient, terrifying, and real? Long before European knights faced dragons in caves, before Daenerys Targaryen ruled the skies, humanity feared something far older. From the blood-soaked temples of Mesopotamia to the sacred mountains of Japan, dragons have haunted us across every continent. But where did this fear come from? And what if the first dragons weren't just symbols, but warnings? By the end of this video, you'll understand why nearly every ancient civilization invented dragons, and why they all feared them. The truth is darker than myth. Tiamat, the primordial chaos, Mesopotamia. In the cradle of civilization, where the Tigris and Euphrates meet, ancient Sumerians told of a dragon older than time itself. Tiamat, a monstrous sea serpent, the embodiment of chaos. She wasn't just a creature. She was everything that existed before the gods. Body was vast, covered in scales, and her breath birthed storms. When younger gods turned on her, fearing her power, she unleashed an army of terrifying beasts, hydras, scorpion men, and dragons, to wage cosmic war. Marduk, a storm god, eventually defeated her by slicing her body in two. Her corpse became the sky and the earth. But here's the unsettling part. Tiamat wasn't evil. She was the mother of creation, killed by her own children. Her death marks humanity's first recorded myth of a slain dragon, and the beginning of our obsession with dragons as a force to conquer. Apep, the serpent of the underworld, ancient Egypt. Each night, as the sun god Ra sailed across the underworld, he faced an ancient enemy, Apep, also called Apophis, a giant serpent that lived in eternal darkness. To the Egyptians, Apep wasn't just a monster. He was the embodiment of chaos, destruction, and disorder. He never died. He could never be killed. He returned every night, without fail. Priests would perform rituals, shout curses, and even burn effigies of Apep just to help Ra survive until morning. But why did they fear a serpent so deeply? Because Apep represented something primal, the fear that light could vanish forever. Kur, the dragon of the mountains. Sumer, another Mesopotamian tale tells of Kur, a dragon-like creature that lived in the mountains and drank the blood of the gods. It wasn't just a monster. It stole divine beings from the heavens. When the goddess Inanna ventured into the mountains, Kur captured her and dragged her into the underworld. The rescue involved cosmic battles, thunderous storms, and pleas to the god Enki. Kur's breath could shake the earth. His eyes were like molten obsidian. He was the first gatekeeper of the underworld in dragon form, a symbol of what waits when mortals wander too far from civilization. Xiangliu, the nine-headed flood dragon, ancient China. In Chinese mythology, Xiangliu was a venomous nine-headed dragon that brought devastation wherever it went. Each head could spew poison, rivers dried up, crops died. It turned entire regions into toxic wastelands. The hero Yu the Great battled Xiangliu to stop the floods. But here's what makes this tale chilling. Xiangliu's body was so toxic that even after it died, the land around it remained cursed. No trees, no animals, just rot and ruin. This wasn't just a monster, it was a punishment from the heavens. Yamata no Orochi, Japan's eight-headed serpent. In ancient Japan, the storm god Susanoo came across a grieving family. Each year, the Yamata no Orochi, a massive, eight-headed, eight-tailed dragon, devoured one of their daughters. 7 were gone. 1 remained. Susanoo devised a plan. He brewed 8 vats of potent sake and placed them around the mountain. When the Orochi drank, it fell into a deep sleep, and Susanoo struck, slicing off each head with his blade. Inside one of the tails, he found the legendary sword Kusanagi, later used by Japan's emperors. Orochi wasn't just a beast, it was the guardian of sacred power, and its death gave birth to divine royalty. Níðhöggr, the corpse eater, Norse myth. Far below the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree, lives Níðhöggr, a dragon that gnaws at the dead. Unlike fire-breathing dragons of modern fantasy, Níðhöggr feasts on the corpse corpses of murderers and liars in hell. Its breath was decay, its wings spread rot. But it's not just a mindless beast, it represents vengeance. Because during Ragnarok, the end of all things, Níðhöggr will fly from the underworld, carrying dead souls on its back to the battlefield. A dragon not of power, but of judgment. Vritra, the drought demon, Vedic India. In the Rig Veda, Vritra is a serpent dragon who hoards all the world's water. Crops wilt, people starve, rivers stop flowing. Indra, the thunder god, had to slay Vritra with his lightning bolt, unleashing floods across the parched world. But this wasn't just a battle of gods, it was a cosmic reminder. Nature gives, and nature takes. Vritra was the blockade to life itself. His story still echoes during India's monsoons. Quetzalcoatl and Cipactli, the Aztec creation beast. In Aztec belief, the gods needed to build the world from the body of a dragon-like creature named Cipactli. This monster had a mouth on every joint and was always hungry. Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca lured it out of the cosmic sea, ripped it apart, and shaped the sky and earth from its flesh. Like Tiamat, Cipactli was sacrificed for creation, but in some versions, she lives on, underneath the world, hungry, waiting. Pause for a moment. Almost every ancient civilization, despite oceans apart, imagined dragon-like monsters, serpents of chaos, beasts of judgment, devourers of light. Why? Did they see real creatures? Giant snakes, crocodiles, or dinosaurs, and exaggerate them? Were dragons symbols of natural disasters, floods, storms, droughts that early humans couldn't understand? Or were they something deeper? Dragons aren't just monsters, they're warnings of power abused, of order shattered, of consequences too great to bear. Maybe they're the world's oldest metaphor for our darkest instincts. Dragons weren't just myths, they shaped real rituals. In medieval Europe, entire towns held dragon festivals, where effigies were burned to cleanse sins. In ancient China, emperors claimed descent from dragons, linking their authority to divine terror. In Japan, the Kusanagi sword from Orochi's corpse became a national treasure. Some societies made sacrifices to dragons, others built temples. In parts of Africa, serpent dragons were seen as ancestral spirits who must be honored, or else. In every case, dragons were tools to frighten, to control, to remind people of the thin line between civilization and chaos. In Aboriginal mythology, the rainbow serpent is one of the oldest known dragon-like beings on Earth, dating back over 6,000 years. It carved rivers and valleys across the land. It brought rain, or swallowed villages whole. Some tribes saw it as a mother, others as a destroyer. Here's what makes it haunting. The rainbow serpent lives beneath the ground, watching. When angered, it shakes the earth and floods the plains. To this day, in parts of Australia, stories are whispered before rainstorms, because the rainbow serpent doesn't just live in the past, it sleeps under your feet. So what do all these dragons, from Tiamat to the rainbow serpent, reveal about humanity? We've always needed monsters, to blame, to battle, to believe. But dragons aren't just creatures of fire and fang, they're the reflections of our oldest fears, chaos. We can't control nature, we can't predict shadows within ourselves, and maybe, just maybe, dragons weren't invented by humans. Maybe they remember us.